Today we're joined on the show by noted jock Emma Vigeland, and so I wanted to make sure that we had a little bit of sports news for her, and so we've got it because there's apparently continuing debate about whether sports should return while the pandemic is ongoing. Widespread reports suggest that the Big Ten is leaning towards pulling the plug on its fall sports season, with the other Power 5 conferences, the ACC, the Big 12, the Pac-12 and SEC in discussions and possibly following. Meanwhile, political leaders putting pressure on college football to continue, with Trump tweeting, "Play college football," and Rep. Jim Jordan saying, "America needs college football." I would argue they need to stop dying during a pandemic, and they need to be protected from evictions. After that, sure, yeah, they need college football. So we're gonna have more on this. But I know that you've been following this debate about whether college football should return. What are your thoughts, and what do you think most of the players are thinking at this point?
I'm sure the players want to play, so that's not really relevant though. I mean, some players can opt out, and a lot of first round projected picks have opted out. But Trevor Lawrence, other star players, Justin Fields, have written letters saying we want to play, and that's the hashtag that they use. What's conveniently left out of these discussions is that what was also included in those letters was the desire to form a union, because these players don't get paid. They make millions and millions and millions of dollars for their universities, and white racist Trump supporting coaches and university presidents get tons of money, oftentimes paid more than NFL head coaches, because you know why? The players don't get paid, and they don't really go to school. They're just there to make money for the university. So in arguably the most exploitative modern sports, it's not arguably, it's the most exploitative thing I've seen in sports in decades, and it still remains as an institution. So it's this cultural thing. They get these players who are oftentimes the best athlete in their county or in their town, and who have dreams of playing in the NFL, and they exploit that. And they're usually poor, and they're often black, and they don't pay them. They take all the money off their labor. They can't sell their likeness until they get to the NFL, but that's a huge if. Less than 2% of players in Division I college football programs make it to the NFL and cash in, and they could blow their ACL out and never be able to capitalize on it. And now they're asking them to play in a pandemic where offensive linemen are often categorized as obese. They could completely get very sick, and it's really just the breaking point, because now the NCAA has to talk about how these are not college athletes. They say, oh, it's a part of the academic experience, right? No, they're semi-professional athletes that you guys have exploited for their labor and not paid them wages and fair compensation for everything they've done for your university. And I want college players to see the bigger picture here, but it's really hard to say. You have 4 years to prove yourself to the NFL where you can bank on this and make millions. No, you should sit out. They're not gonna do that. And so that's what college football uses to keep them in this exploitative system, and I think it's disgusting.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't know basically anything about this. Some of those conferences, I probably didn't even pronounce it correctly, and so correct me if I'm wrong. But hypothetically, if none of it happened, then all of the players would be on equal ground. Their careers would be hurt, obviously, but they'd all be on equal ground. If the playing continues, but it's up to players to decide whether they want to play, then there's a huge incentive to play, because if you don't, others will. They'll get those opportunities and get the payback for all of the work that they've put in. You won't, even though you've done almost all of that work. And you're not getting paid immediately either way. So that seems like there would be a huge amount of pressure to put yourself in a dangerous situation and potentially hurt yourself for the rest of your life or spread it to other people.
Exactly. I mean, but it's just an extreme example of what college football has already done to these players. And I mean, the NFL, we talk about how there are a million things wrong with the NFL, but they put protocols in place. We've seen that sports can be done in a pandemic. The NBA has 0 positive cases. The NHL has 0 positive cases. Of course, their 2 bubbles are in Canada. These things can happen. Industries can be smart and move forward in this way. Baseball's, obviously a disaster, but college football, they're all independent conferences overseen by the NCAA. You have the Big Ten, you have the SEC, you have the ACC, whatever, and they all act as independent actors. And they're just deciding in August, when ball is supposed to start in September, maybe we'll put some protocols in place. Who knows? We're gonna decide in a few days if college football is supposed to start. I mean, I don't say this lightly. The way that these programs like in Clemson or Alabama and Mississippi, Alabama's a little more pro style, but these college football programs in the South treat their players, it echoes remnants of slavery and the way that they just think they can do whatever they want to poor black kids. Yeah. And it makes me sick, but there's no other alternative path to the NFL. There's requirements that you have to go through the college system, and that's what players think they have to deal with, but they could destroy their health on the path to get there, and very few actually get there.
Yeah, it's very like, to give an analogy for something I actually know a little bit about, it's very Hunger Games.
Yep.
Like you should suffer and compete and more than likely get nothing just for the chance of doing well.
And these kids come, I mean, I can't overstate how many of these kids come from poor backgrounds. And then when they get to the league, I'm all for players' rights. I want these billionaire owners to pay so much more to their players because they have 3 to 5 year careers oftentimes. And they have to cash in as much as they can because their families are relying on them. And it sometimes paves the way for generational wealth for people who grew up dirt poor in many of these instances in the South.
Yeah, it should just, I know I'm speaking about something I don't really know. It should have nothing to do with college. Just have like the XFL be the non-NFL for younger, just starting players or something like that. I don't know.
You're right, John. And the NBA is starting on the path to like circumventing the college system. They only have 1 year. You only have to be 1 year in basketball, which is just way better. And they don't even need to go. That's not a requirement. So
yeah,
you got me going.
Oh geez, yeah, no, I saw people in the comments were like, you can tell Emma's passionate about this. See, that's why we have to have you on, because everybody brings passion to different things, and I just can't really make it happen for sports.
Maybe fictional sports. Pay the players.
Exactly. Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.